Hey y'all, coming to you again from my bedroom in Scottsdale, Arizona. And today our conversation about iodine continues. So, you may be wondering, why do we still have an iodine insufficiency issue or deficiency issue, depending on how you look at it, if we stopped iodine deficiency disease of goiter? If we stop goiter with our iodized table salt, then why is this a problem anymore? Well, the iodized table salt only included enough iodine to prevent goiter. It was just like the little tiniest amount that would prevent this like absolute worst case deficiency scenario. It is not enough for iodine sufficiency in the body. So our RDI is something like 150 micrograms, and that's just enough to like keep you alive. It's not enough to have you thriving and feeling good and being happy and radiant and all stoked on life. So that is the number one reason. Number two reason is that we have environmental exposures to goitrogenic toxins like our other halogens, bromine, chlorine, fluoride, which are worse today than they were 100 years ago. So I really like this quote from the health101.org article on iodine by Don Bennett, which I link to in the description below. He says that the bromine off-gassing in a new car driven in winter when the windows are rolled up can be a tipping point for some people whose iodine level is right at the point of deficiency. Add to that swimming and bathing in chlorinated water and drinking chlorinated and fluoridated water, along with increased iodine needs, it's no wonder we're all iodine insufficient or deficient. So literally, can we just say that is my life? Because I got a new car, drove it this winter, and lo and behold, in January I got my thyroid panel done, and it was like, your thyroid is not looking as hot as it should. And I got iodine spot and loading tests done, urinary, because that's the best kind of test to get. And it showed iodine deficiency, insufficiency. It's not like terrible, but it could be a lot better. So yeah, and all the chlorine and the fluorine in our water and in the toothpaste and everything else, these are other halogens that confuse the body, look a whole like iodine, park in the iodine receptors, blocking the iodine from getting to the cells, and thus we have iodine insufficiency. So, continuing on, also, people are not using as much iodized table salt, which is a good thing because it's not healthy. You need iodine, yes, but you don't need this highly processed table salt or salt at all, depending on which source you are listening to and kind of the needs of your body, but you may not need salt. I know I do a lot better when I don't eat salt, even though I love salt. It doesn't love me. So people are cutting back on their iodized table salt, and as a result, we're having more thyroid issues, which are just a symptom of this underlying issue of iodine insufficiency and deficiency. So check this out. In a recent clinical study, more than 96% of over 5,000 patients tested were iodine deficient. 96% of 5,000 patients. That's a lot of people. And if that is, a representative sample of the population, then that would suggest that it's a big problem and you might be iodine deficient. Get tested. Yeah, according to the World Health Organization in 2007, approximately 2 billion individuals had insufficient iodine intake, a third being of school age, so kids. So some of you healthy folks out there might be like, hey, but I eat sea veggies. I eat kelp and dulse and nori. Yeah, me too. I love them. Think it's great. Super tasty. But those are not sufficient to meet your iodine needs. if you're insufficient or deficient. If you're fully saturated, that might be okay for maintenance. So, Don Bennett talks about 3 reasons not to rely on dried sea veggies to try and fulfill your iodine needs. Number 1, they contain B12 analogs, which compete with active B12 for B12 receptors, and this causes lowered B12 levels. So that's kind of like our iodine and the other halogens issues. When we get things parking in our receptors that look a lot like the thing we want but aren't the thing we want, then we have issues with insufficiency and deficiency. Number 2, sea veggies can be contaminated with harmful substances like heavy metals such as arsenic, mercury, and lead, and industrial chemicals like PCBs. I will link in the description to where I get my nori and my dulse and all of that, because there are places you can get higher quality. Is it perfect? Probably not, but it is best to do your due diligence and make the best choices possible if you're going to consume dried sea veggies. Number 3, the amount of iodine in dried sea veggies is not enough to normalize an iodine insufficiency. It is not even enough to maintain a normal iodine level considering today's higher iodine needs. And he also mentions that when the sea veggies are dried, there is a large number of halogens in them as well, the other ones. So again, you could have those confusing your iodine receptors and parking in there. In addition, the drying process, actually, you lose a lot of the iodine too. So in the fresh ones, if you're like harvesting your own, you might be getting more iodine. Otherwise, you're really not getting as much as you would in a supplement. Okay, check this out. This was interesting to me. So in health and spirituality and everything in existence, we have these cycles. So this is another kind of interesting cycle. So we need iodine to produce sufficient stomach acid. People have worse stomach acid as they age, and the stomach can't absorb iodine until blood levels are sufficient. So you see how this kind of perpetuates itself with iodine being connected with not having excellent stomach acid either, and then having all kinds of digestive issues and absorption issues. So I think that's where I will stop for today, because it was another information overload. But again, this is a really interesting topic, and there's not enough information and education available on it, and you're not going to probably hear it coming from your traditional health practitioner or even your naturopath, unfortunately. I know I went to my naturopath and she told me about my low thyroid hormone this most recent time, and she prescribed me nature thyroid and didn't talk about iodine therapy. I requested iodine lab work done, and she didn't really know about it. I did do my own research. So be informed. This is just, again, like, get educated, be an informed consumer, be an informed, awake person who's committed to doing everything that's possible to live the healthiest, happiest life that you can live, because this world desperately needs you to be the very best that you can be. So like this video if you like it, subscribe if you want to stay tuned. There's going to be much more coming at you, and thank you so much for watching. Much love. We'll talk soon. Bye.